My name is John Lin McCraw, and I am testifying on behalf of Texas Trial Lawyers Association. I'm testifying against House Bill 3787. In this particular situation, statute of limitations is supposed to prevent stale claims. It's not supposed to be a way to enact further tort reform to prevent people from bringing legitimate claims. In current law, a claim against your own insurance company doesn't mature until the claim is known, the claim is made on the insurance company, and the claim is either rejected or an impasse is reached in negotiations. Okay? And as Representative Bonin said, already that can be taken down to a 2-year statute of limitations by contract already. Now, the bill as filed lets the statute of limitations run on the earlier of two contingencies instead of the later of two contingencies. If you're truly worried about the statute of limitation preventing stale claims, you're going to want it to be on the later rather than the earlier of the two limitations. One is 2 years from the acceptance or rejection of the claim. The problem with this is the acceptance language, because a claim that's accepted could be actively negotiated. Many times when you have claims, you'll have an initial claim, and as the property is being repaired or remediated, we see additional damage. Well, when that additional damage occurs after the acceptance of the initial claim, the statute could already be running. We could run into a situation that before an impasse is reached, before any bad faith cause of action has really accrued, the statute of limitations could have already run.
So, Mr. Chair, you think 2 years would be insufficient to realize that?
It depends upon when it was brought, and it depends upon when the repairs were made. You could have a situation where there was an initial delay in payment of the initial part of the claim, and the contractors get in and start to remediate, and they realize, hey, when we're doing this roof, we've got problems down the walls and the interior of the walls, and it's not problems you can see from the outside.
Correct, but that would be more than 2 years later?
It could be. That's the point. The problem we have here is the term acceptance rather than when an impasse is reached. It can be fixed. That part can be fixed. The other problem we run into is the language on the 3 years from the date of loss. There's no provision there for a discovery rule. So we could have a similar situation. Let's say instead of having a huge windstorm like you would have with TWIA, where most people would know maybe my property has been harmed, we could be you could have your vacation property that's not a TWIA type property. You could get a hailstorm, not know about it, and you have interior damage in your walls and just not know about it until you see it when you have a large storm 2 or 3 years later. A discovery rule could remediate that issue. Many of the times when we have statute of limitations, we have discovery rules that are explicitly in there.
But after 3 years, you think you wouldn't yet have discovered the loss that occurred?
It depends upon the type of loss that's occurred.
And if you discovered something after 3 years, how would you attribute that to an event that was more than 3 years in the past, as opposed to anything that could have happened in the last 3+ years?
Well, that's an evidentiary matter, and there are storm patterns and storm evidence that you can get to go back and trace and say, when did this hailstorm cause the problem that I had on a ranch house that's out in the middle of West Texas, and maybe we don't get that much rain out there. But when we do get them, we get a gully washer and we have a problem. That's why I said that's why you need to have a discovery rule. A discovery rule would be a critical part of that. The biggest problem with the bill, though, is this 1 year policy endorsement that you can get that creates this hidden trap door. Granted, the policyholders should know about it initially when they get their initial policy. But how many times are those policies maintained in a position where they can get to those policies, especially after they have an event? They may not have their policy. They may not know about this 1 year statute of limitation, and it creates a trap door in what's supposed to be just preventing stale claims. This shouldn't be a minefield for the insureds, and this creates a minefield that's unnecessary, because the claims aren't stale until the person has an opportunity to know about them, present them to the insurance company, and try to get resolution.
So you're suggesting in 1 year they wouldn't either know about the event or the fact that they had a policy to cover the event and be able to file a claim?
They very well might not. In a hailstorm, a lot of people aren't going out and climbing on their roofs and looking. Do I have a problem? A lot of times they don't find out about the problem until all of a sudden they start having water damage on the interior of their walls. So that becomes the issue, and that becomes the problem. Again, as I said, we're trying to prevent stale claims with statute of limitations. It shouldn't be a situation in which we're trying to create barriers to bringing claims. So that's all I have, unless anybody has any questions for me.
Members, are there any questions? All right, thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
The chair calls Paul Solomon. Paul, we should